Let's get into it and bring in Steve. Steve, are you on an official visit?
I am on the plains today, Josh, checking out the Auburn Tigers, their pristine, brand new facilities. There's a lot of excitement around this program. Easy to see why so many of the nation's top prospects have already given a verbal commitment to Coach Freeze and his staff, or are strongly thinking about doing so as their process continues.
Let's talk some Auburn recruiting. They got New Mexico this weekend, but there's a couple developments that we need to cover right here on the Wiltfong Whip Around. Deuce night, Auburn, you got Notre Dame. You had a bit of a report earlier this week. We haven't talked about it yet on the Wiltfong Whip Around. So, Steve, what are you hearing on Notre Dame quarterback commit Deuce night?
Well, communication has remained strong between Deuce Knight and Notre Dame, longtime Irish commit that has a great relationship with Marcus Freeman, Gino Godolgi, and that coaching staff. And Notre Dame has been trying to get him back up to South Bend for the Louisville game. I talked with Deuce Knight's dad earlier this week, asked if they were going to the Louisville game. He said undecided yet. So as they try and get that visit locked in, Jeff Lee from our Auburn site reported that he's expecting Deuce Knight on an official visit, that an official visit is scheduled for Auburn that same weekend. And if you're asking me where I think Deuce Knight will end up that weekend right now, I would put the odds on Auburn. And I still like where the Tigers stand with one of the most coveted quarterbacks in the country, and certainly the top signal caller on Auburn's board right now.
All right. Now, also some news this week on the next potential commitment for Auburn. We're talking Elijah Melendez. We had him on the Inside Scoop about 2 Sundays ago. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But Elijah Melendez trending heavily to the Tigers. When do you think this recruitment's going to come to an end?
Well, I think he's very close to making his college decision. He's expected back at Auburn this weekend. He was at the season opener even prior to his visit to Auburn. As soon as he decommitted from Miami, he was a heavy trend to Auburn. And I think that he is the guy that I have marked to be the next prospect in the fold for Hugh Freeze and company as they attack the nation's #1 class.
All right, now let's talk about what a finish could look like for Auburn. Got some names here for you. We got Andrew Babalola, Elijah Melendez, we just talked about, Usain Chroma, Naim Alford, Deuce Knight, and Tyler Lockhart. These are kind of the main targets in play. How do you feel about some of these names and where Auburn stands?
Well, I still think that they're in the thick of it for Andrew Babalola. Maybe there's times where Stanford looked like the favorite. I thought they were the heavy favorite going into the official visits. Michigan's had some momentum in this recruitment, but I think Auburn's been right there. No relationship better than the one he has with this coaching staff at Auburn. Guys like Jake Thornton, Aaron Petard, he talks to regularly. And you also have Oklahoma in the mix with that one as well. Auburn plays Oklahoma in a few weeks, and we'll see if Andrew Babalola gets out on the road, takes some visits. I know Oklahoma's been trying to get him to campus for a game. He's been to Norman before for college football games. He's never been on the plains for a game, so maybe he wants to check out Auburn one time for a game before making a final decision. Certainly you still have Michigan and Stanford battling for him as well, but that one's very real for Auburn. Usain Chroma, on 300 running back. Auburn is the on 3 RPM favorite right now. Working with Chad Simmons, my colleague, on that one. Chroma was back at Georgia last weekend. There's some Georgia momentum for Chroma, and we've always said if Georgia's hitting the gas there, they could be tough to beat for the in-state back. But Auburn's going to battle for Chroma, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was back at Auburn this weekend as well. He was at Auburn season opener. Auburn trying to get him back to campus this weekend. So if he makes it back to Auburn this weekend, it's certainly game on. If he doesn't, I think you could see that on 3 RPM start to really slide towards Georgia. Still like Auburn for Lockhart. Mm-hmm. And then obviously you got Naim Alford out there, which I think is a real battle. They're in it. He's committed to Ohio State. I could see him sticking with the Buckeyes. Oregon, he's going to go out to Oregon again for the Oregon-Ohio State game. Ohio State, I think he'll be at the Iowa game, maybe Nebraska. And then he's already been to one Auburn game. I think you'll see him back on the plains at some point again. But that's not that recruitment's not a foregone conclusion in any direction right now. Ohio State battling to keep them. We've seen them be able to hang on to elite guys like Jeremiah Smith and Edric Houston, even where at various points, maybe even close to the finish line, it looked like they were maybe going to miss out. So I wouldn't count out on the Buckeyes led by Tim Walton hanging on to them. But Auburn and Oregon are definitely in the thick of that one as well.
All right, so we got New Mexico at home for Auburn this weekend. Likely a win in front of some big-time recruits. But after dropping that game to Cal, it got me wondering, year two, do results on the field matter when it comes to recruiting? Or do you think, because you can also sell hope and excitement in recruiting, at least you can in years 1 and 2. So are we still in this honeymoon phase where recruits are buying the hope and really the wins and losses on the field don't matter too much?
Well, I think that you want to be exciting on the field, which Auburn in the Iron Bowl last year, even though they didn't win, very exciting, showed they were right there with one of the best teams in the country. Coach Freeze always has his team up for big games. So I think if you're competitive in this SEC schedule, this SEC slate, you're recruiting at a high level. If your young players are excited about the culture and the direction of the program, those are the guys that your recruits are generally going to spend a lot of time with. So when Deuce Knight comes to campus, he's around Cam Coleman and those young receivers. He's around this recruiting class that has a chance to finish number 1. All the young people around this program are excited. The culture is in a really good place right now. This is a coaching staff that's very experienced, that's got great resumes. So I think that right now Auburn is still very much in the honeymoon phase of the Hugh Freeze era, as long as they continue to play exciting football throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, but I don't think the game against Cal was exciting football. I mean, I know you bring up last season against Alabama, like you said, one of the best teams in the country, but what they put on tape or even in person against Cal, I mean, I don't think that's an exciting loss. You can't do that all season.
Well, recruits on campus are able to say, hey, they have a huge need for me right away, and Auburn is selling an opportunity to come in and play right away. And it sucked to lose to Cal. 4 turnovers is why they lost that ball game, not because Cal was the better team. They were the better team on that day. And I think that Auburn has the talent to bounce back and play some exciting football against some SEC opponents moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Auburn here, they're putting together something special. I just think that they do. This isn't year 1. This is year 2. But like you said, it's not year 3 and it's not year 4. So we are still a bit in that honeymoon phase where hope and excitement can be sold. So props to Auburn. All right, Auburn fans.
Get that quarterback in the fold. It
right.
really gets the juices going.
And what's the timetable on that? When can we get that quarterback in the fold for Auburn?
I do think that Deuce Knight is working towards a final decision. I still am riding with Auburn, my on-3 RPM pick there. Certainly Notre Dame. He told Notre Dame before the season he was going to take it into the fall, take his time, see how things play out. So that timeline has remained on track. Does he visit Auburn at the end of the month? If he does that, I still love my Auburn pick. If he ends up at Notre Dame for the Louisville game, all of a sudden, I think we'll start changing our tune on where things stand with Deuce Knight. But everything I'm still hearing, Auburn's still in a really good position with him. He's just working through his process. You only go through it once. And you also got to remember, like Deuce Knight, he also, as a junior in high school, went to a high school and left there. It wasn't the situation he thought it was going to be. So I think he just wants to be really sure in the end what he's doing with this college decision based on the experiences he's already had as a high school player.
All right, Auburn fans, a very special Wiltfong Whip Around live from the Plains. Talk to us, comment section below. How are we feeling about Deuce Knight? How are we feeling about the season? How are we feeling about this recruiting class? Let us know. Comment section below.